Assalamu alaikum. I'm Yasin Pons, and this is the Muslim Connected Podcast, a podcast for those looking for enlightenment and direction. Today, we are joined by Naadiya Moosajee, a woman of women. Is that right? Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Because you've been not only in industries that was not made for you, but you've been there and you've made space for yourself and for others. A civil engineer who's gone through the most and who's made the most. Assalamu alaikum. Shukran for joining us today.
Alaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
So let's go to the engineering where it all started off. Was that always the drive as a child? And how as a young Muslim girl from Cape Town do you go, that's what I want to be?
So it's not the drive. It wasn't but I knew exactly. My sister's a doctor. She knew from the time she was little that she wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a lawyer. Because I thought lawyers lied and I had a problem telling the truth. So, but then my mom said to me that I'd be wasting my talent as a lawyer. So clearly I wasn't a good liar because, I don't know. But she doesn't even remember this conversation with me. And I thought, okay, if I'm not a lawyer, because also I talk a lot and I thought that's what lawyers did also. And then I was like, what do I do? And so as a grade 11 and everybody's asking you what you're going to do with the rest of your life. I went to the place of all wisdom, Google. And I was like, okay, I like geography. So what do people who like geography do? And I like tectonic plates and volcanoes. And it turns out you can be a geologist.
I was going to say, now you were saying everything that's not going engineering, but...
And so I told my mom, now I'm going to become a geologist. And she said, no, because the geologists work down in the mine. So you can't be a geologist. I mean, I went back to Google and I was like, okay, you like geology, but you can't be a geologist. And I found something called geotechnical engineering, which is basically the study of underground systems and basement substructures and all of these things. I mean, I thought, oh, cool, I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
There was the Department of Civil Engineering. So it's a super speciality. So you have to first become a civil engineer. And so I applied to one university for one degree. It's a big risk.
What subject were you doing at school? Because I also think a lot of the times kids don't know what to study. They don't know what they want to become. So they're always choosing subjects and they have the pressure of, I must get the amazing marks in this so that I can do and do.
So I was doing math and science, English subject accounts, biology, and geography.
Yeah.
Because I still love geography. And I sucked at accounting, so I had to, that wasn't me. And the computers, like way back then.
And did that help? Would you say that those... Because also sometimes you get in the degree and you realize the stuff you learned at school is not necessarily linked, but did it help this time?
No. And this is the thing we tell kids, you must love maths and science to go be an engineer. I didn't love maths and science. I mean, I like donuts. One would say I love donuts, right? But maths and science isn't like I wake up going, maths,
Just for the viewers and listeners, we discussed in length before this recording about donuts, and it was very much as an engineer would think about donuts. So it's a very, very good thing.
Yeah, and I did maths and science and I got into UCT, into civil engineering. Turns out in third year, we do geotechnical engineering and I absolutely hated it. But I loved civil engineering because in the word civil, it's all about people. It's civilian infrastructure. I actually did a master's in transportation engineering. So spent another 2 years at UCT. As well as a year in Germany on international exchange, because this is what they don't tell us young people, that you don't have to study in your home country. You can find somebody to pay for you to go study in a different country.
It's amazing.
You can travel. I saw like a lot of Europe. It was lots of fun. I learned to speak German. Spent a year there on international exchange, and it was all funded by the university.
That's again things we don't teach children, and we just it's one of those things where we see kids do it and we go, oh we should have, but it's not really accessible.
And so that was for me really incredible, and I came back because I think it's really important as an engineer to come back to the country. And at the time, we had just gotten the World Cup, so there's a lot of infrastructure going. So I got to be a site engineer at an airport. So when you're coming into the airport parking lot,
Yeah.
you drive up a ramp. I was a site engineer for that ramp.
It sounds like a small thing, but thank you. I've used the ramp many a years.
Yes. And if it was done, then it wasn't me.
Donuts is love.
And like on the stadium. And then, when we got the World Cup, because I was a specialist transport engineer, I actually went to go and work for FIFA, and I ran the VIP transport operation.
Wow.
So, I saw, Messi and
Ronaldo
and Maradona. I saw Messi and Maradona cry like babies when they lost here at Cape Town Stadium, like snot and trane. It was embarrassing for them.
But did you feel good about it though? Because at least it's not them.
Yeah, and it was amazing because I was supporting Spain for that World Cup, and
It's a winning team.
and they won the World Cup that year. So got to see them lift the trophy in soccer city. So it was a job that I worked like 18 hours a day. Everybody thought they were VIP, but
So when we're doing something with FIFA and the World Cup, when does your job end? Because you very much in the build up to the event.
Yeah.
At what point do they go, okay, you've done your time now, you can just go enjoy the World Cup, or do you work till the last day?
You work until your last match in your city, and then everybody's like, okay, bye, this has been fun. Peace out.
And then it's just emptiness.
And then you're done. Yeah.
They don't speak about the hangover that happens in the country after the World Cup happens, because it's just, I think for like a month we were like, now what must we do with all of this?
And they gave me like a really cool car to drive. They just took my car away also. It was all gone.
And then what projects did you start from then onward at least?
So, I've always had this kind of dual career path. So while I was studying still at university, I founded a non-profit organization called South African Women in Engineering, which we now just lovingly call WomEng. Nice. And that was to be able to get more women and girls to study engineering and tech careers. So I had that, plus I had an engineering career, like a full-time job.
How? Because engineering is not a career or even a study form where there's space or time to think of anything other than the actual degree. Where did you find the space for it?
So I focused on my career, my degree, and food. That's it. No social life. I went out, had friends, had lots of friends, but that was really my focus, was getting through this degree.
How many other women were in your studies? I'll say studying with you.
Yeah, so we were 5 girls in the class, so about 20% of the class, which is quite a high number.
Yeah, especially for the time as well.
Yeah,
great.
It was nice. So mostly guys.
So you felt that you weren't, I'll say, represented, but also looked after enough as what you should be.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a sad story on why I started the nonprofit. So this is almost 20 years ago. I'm kind of giving my age away. If you can do math, you can become an engineer. But I went to work on a construction site, and kind of 2 terrible things happened. So the one, obviously you're on the site, you're the only female, there's no bathroom, so you kind of have to cross roads.
Leave falls.
Yeah, to find the KFC to go to the bathroom. And that's fine, but the catcalling on site, the harassment on site, and I'm like a smiley person, so I like smile and I'm friendly at everybody, and the foreman misunderstood that as advancement, and then harassed me. And then when I left and I went to back to university, would kind of send me all these horrible emails and messages. And for a long time, I never spoke about it, and I never told anybody that there's this person harassing me. Maybe I should have, and my brothers would have gone and beat him up or something. I don't know. But so that was terrible, and that happened. But also, I found out that I was the only intern that wasn't paid. All the boys were paid. And when I'd asked, they were like, no, you have to do it for the experience. But we were all at the same company with all the same experience. And so I realized that women are just treated very differently. And I wanted to go and leave and work for a bank or a management consultancy, because that's
all the dreams.
They love engineers in other spaces and realize that if we left, nothing would change. Women would always feel like this in this. And so that's why we started WomEng, was to be able to help young women to be able to get into the industry and also help the industry transform.
It's necessary. And for older men in the industry to take younger women serious as well. To go, despite your age, your qualification, and your work can stand for your truth as well.
Yeah.
So WomEng starts while you're doing the degree.
Yeah.
And then we go into FIFA, and then what happens after FIFA?
So I got headhunted by a development consultancy, and we worked on infrastructure projects like Go George, so rolling out public transport, because I'm a specialist transport engineer. So I worked on some really exciting public transport and infrastructure projects. I worked on climate change projects with the Department of Water Affairs, and I worked on projects across the continent. So looking at...
So you're a superhuman here. You're actually coming and changing the world from physical structure to social structures as well. You're really putting in the place.
So, I mean, I'm going to quote Marvel because I'm like a huge Avengers fan. Okay, but Aunt May says, with great power comes great responsibility, and so as engineers, we have a great power and a great responsibility to be able to, if we can change the world, why not?
Yes, but and also that thing of I'll say engineering seems like such a cold study and a cold. When I mean cold, it's very much like numbers and you build blocks, but the social aspect is how you build the blocks and why you build the blocks. So you needed to be connected to the people all the time to see the problems. Yeah.
I always think about the bridge on the N2, that walk bridge, right? Because you see, so like when you're going on the N2 and you'll see this walk bridge, beautiful walk bridge, and you see the cows walking over the bridge, but the people are running across the road, right? Then you understand that no matter how good an engineer you are, if you don't understand people, you always are not going to build for the people.
Yes, that's very true. So, again, we'll be going through your life now. So, as we're going on, headhunted, gone through Africa, fixed and repaired and made things for the people.
I mean, that's a heavy lift there. I mean, we tried.
And then there's the clothing line as well.
Yeah, so I mean, if and I think the hijabi fashion piece was like, I really loved clothes. I used to go out and everybody would be like, oh, Nadia, you dress so nice. And this was before like hijabi influencers. We didn't have influencers then.
You're a hipster now because you're saying we did it before they came.
Somebody told me the other day, like, Nadia, you OG. And I was like, yes, I am. But I was just like, it was so hard to actually find really nice clothes. That was like halal, and that you always had to wear like an undertop and like a 5 million layers. And then in summer it's really hot with 5 million layers. So started this kind of fashion brand called Nadia M. And Nadia, just not because I'm vain, but because Nadia is such a common name. There's Nadias in Russia. I've met Nadias who are Russian. I've met Nadias who are South American. I've met Nadias that are African and Nadias that are Muslim, Christian, everywhere. So Nadia is a universal name. It's Aramaic, which means that it predates, so it's a super old name. And it was supposed to be this kind of universal brand. And then I was changing the labels on the clothes because women get obsessed with a number. They're like, oh, I'm a 10 now, but I was 8, and then I must diet and I must go on and I must starve myself and to fit into a number.
The numbers are actually it feels like it's blocks. Yeah. And we get stuck in those things instead of just, what am I comfortable with? Exactly. What do I look like and what do I feel like in me?
Exactly, yoga pants, stretchy jeans,
Live your life.
Love your life, exactly. Eat the donut. And so I wanted to do a whole lot of things about changing the way women saw themselves in clothes. And I put all my savings into this company. That was a complete failure.
A complete failure. I feel like if you're learning, then it's not necessarily a failure because you've built so much more since then as well.
Yeah.
And then also it's a necessity to have professional work clothes. That's not uncool.
Yeah, but I've also now got suitcases of clothes in storage.
They'll find a place one day.
They shall.
And then, so at this point in your career, what is WomEng doing, I'll say, for the women that's studying as well?
So we were doing two things, and I think this was the crossroads, right? Because WomEng was growing. We were running programs to help university students transition into industry. These days, they call it hackathons. We were running hackathons. We didn't have that word back then. I feel so old sitting on this couch going, back in the day.
Experience. Let's use the word experience.
Yeah, lots of experience. And then we started running these high school programs because we realized if you can't be what you can't see. So I got into engineering by accident, and I just happened to ask Google the right questions. But Google is only as smart as the questions you ask it. If you don't know the question to ask, you're not going to get the right answer. And so most girls go into engineering, one, because there was a role model. So usually a male relative or uncle or something. Or a teacher told them that they were good at maths and science. And that's what engineers do, we don't. The third one is, I used to call it sheer dumb luck, but now I actually call it takdir, right? Because I'm in the takdir category.
Yes.
And so we wanted to make sure that more girls actually actively understood what engineering was and that they made a conscious choice to become engineers. You can't be what you can't see. So now let's make engineering seen.
So what is engineering now? How do you become an engineer?
So I would say everything around you has been engineered in some way, shape, or form, right? So the building we're in, to the glasses that you're wearing, to actually even the water that you're drinking, it's all purified through a process. Engineering has touched your life today in so many ways that you can't even count. And if you want to be part of being able to do really cool things, that's what engineers do on a daily basis. So while I did start out as a civil engineer, I now have a tech company. Right. And so most companies are actually run by engineers with MBAs. Right. So if you want to even get into business, into leadership, engineering is a great career path for you. You just have to suffer through like 2 years of math.
But it's okay maths. Is it bad maths? What's the story with the maths there?
Oh, the maths nearly broke me.
We discussed this earlier. Because that's the other thing of going from high school from schooling, I'll say, to university. That gap is so much bigger than I think the world understands. Because again, at school, you're taught this is the thing you do, this is how you do it, go to exam, and that's it.
Yeah.
But university is like, you can just be. You can just like be yourself, and that's the problem also, is that you get to be yourself. Yeah. So how did you get through maths?
So I would say, like a lot of Dubai, and a guy named Marlon, because my mom was going through this like muffin baking phase, also quiche making, like everything went into a quiche. So, but Marlon stayed
basically cup format food.
And she just loved baking and making stuff. It got so bad that she put it all into our lunch. So my brother was selling it at school, and then buying money from buying whatever he wanted at the tuck shop. And I basically used the muffins as a bartering tool. So I told Marlon, I'll give you all the muffins if you just tutor me in maths. And so kind of passed first and second year maths. But I always say this to people, right? And my dad always says, it's not how you start the race, it's how you finish it. So in first year, I nearly failed. I was like, hello, 50%. So I went from being a student at high school to like almost failing first year. Except I got the class medal for civil engineering 1, the introduction to civil engineering, which is the person with the highest mark.
Wow. Amazing.
So like, and the person who came second in civil engineering 1, she was consistently brilliant in all the other subjects. Until today, will mention it when she sees me. She's like, I can't believe you got the class medal.
And just in the one subject, you're taking it for that.
Yeah, no, it's like, but that means that like all the other stuff was unnecessary. I was there for a purpose. The civil engineering 1, the maths, the chemistry, the physics, all of that, irrelevant.
It's fine.
So, and that's the thing we don't tell we don't have that kind of understanding of what failure means in our culture, and how to bounce back from it. And I remember one of my sister's friends, because I was like really depressed on campus, because campus, nobody's doing a list, nobody's checking, there's no roll call, nobody's forcing you. I remember when I got to Germany, there was 6 people in the class, and I was like, wow, what a small class, what a big lecture theatre, right? And then the exam came and it was full, because you don't have to go to class.
And they don't.
They don't. Why would you? When you can be traveling to Italy or whatever in a train, and like tomorrow then you're in France, and like 5 hours later you're in Italy, like you don't have to go to class. it boggled my mind. I was like, nobody's watching me sit here and like take notes. And so that absolute freedom going from like absolute shelter becomes very hard for young people to actually manage the transition. And she told me, she said, Nadia, I've seen stupider people go through this university and get a degree. You're going to be fine. And the kind of motivation I needed to get through.
I think that's actually much more wiser words than we expect. Because I think at university, you always go, oh, it's only the clever kids. There's an imposter syndrome that comes with university. And especially with degrees that hold, I'll say, a rank in society where they go, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. I'm sure there's doctors or kids in medical students that feel the same way.
Yeah.
And then maybe we might just be reminded that engineers can be silly, other stupid people, and doctors also, and it's fine. We can all get through this thing.
My brother has a curve that says, as intelligence increases, common sense decreases. He's got this like really cool curve. And that's so true, right? And I think that's the other thing is that education and my worldview of education has changed a lot, right? Everything around us is an opportunity to learn. And the world needs us to be able to think in very different ways because we've got problems in the world today that we didn't have before. And it's going to take like a collective mind to solve it.
And also the problems we have is from a certain way of thinking. Yeah. So we need other ways of thinking to unthink those thoughts.
Yeah.
It's very clunky.
Yeah.
And then, so WomEng is going through the schools now.
Yeah.
And you're educating, I'll say, girls on becoming engineers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then what programs have you had or that have moved them through?
Yeah, so we started in South Africa, and so it was this called the WomEng program, which we had two parts to it. One called Ask an Engineer. We used to call it spray and play sessions. So we spray about engineering, we play the listening.
Nice.
And then the second part was we would take 50 girls on these tech camps they now focus on coding, robotics, and sustainable engineering. But girls actually got to build things and like be an engineer for the day for the week that they're with us. And the other day I'm on a call and with one of our clients, and she says, "Oh, you know Christine, right?" And I was just like, I meet a lot of people, and I'm bad with names, and so I'm just like, "Yeah, Christine, how's it going?"
You.
Thank God for Zoom with those like names at the bottom because I don't know Christine. And she's like, "Nadia, you have no idea who I am." And I'm like, "Really? I'm so sorry I don't." And she said, "You won't remember me, but you guys came. I was in KwaZulu-Natal. I was at a high school. My friend said, there's this WomEng program, but I don't want to go alone. Will you come with me?" And I said, "Okay, cool." And she came to the program and she heard my business partner, who's an engineer as well and who was working for Sasol at the time. She said she was so inspired that in that moment, she realized that she wanted to be an engineer and work at Sasol in Secunda. Now, I'm questioning the in Secunda part, right?
Holding it to a very small place.
But this, the ability for us to walk into a room and completely change a girl's life.
That's amazing, Marshall.
Yeah.
That's I feel like those are moments that just make it worth it.
Yeah.
To go all the times that the nights that you were up busy, all the times that you didn't go out with your friends, you go that moment where you see the work pay off. Yeah. And in more than money to go, you've made a career, you've changed the city.
Yeah.
Because that person decided to change Secunda, to stay in Secunda and fix Secunda.
And I mean, and I meet people in like the most interesting places, like in the queue in Pick and Pay and in the tailor, by the tailor. There was also a girl and her mom, and she was looking kind of shy, and her mom was like, "No, go. And she was just like, "No, Mom, I'm not doing this." And this mom walks up to me and she's just like, "You don't know who I am, but my daughter was on a WomEng program and she's studying civil engineering at CPUT." And I got a shout out for moms here because my mom does the same thing. She'll walk up to people and she's like, "You must meet my daughter. This is what my daughter." She's like, moms are like our biggest fans. They're the biggest cheerleaders.
She paid for tutoring as well with cupcakes.
I know.
They're cheerleaders, proper cheerleaders.
Yeah.
And now you've now also become the mom.
Yes.
So, and then how are you kids with all of you doing? Because you not only have WomEng and you engineer and your own company and the restaurants. So your kids are now seeing you be able to do all these things now. How are they how are they around all of your career?
So it's so interesting. So my son is 7, and he's known nothing else but me traveling for work. I always made if you're going to invite me for stuff, if it's a work function, and if after hours, I'll bring my kids. Okay. I was like, I want to normalize this. I also normalize breastfeeding in public, right? Because, because it's just I'm like, and I always said, like, honestly, when I look at Beyonce, she's showing more than I am when I'm feeding my kid in public, but people just shame you around just even feeding kids in public. But I was like, I'm having none of this. This kid is crying. So my one son is 18 months old. My other son is 7. The other day he found out that, because his cousins Googled me, I don't know why. I think my brother was having a bit of a laugh. And they told him that his mom is famous, right? But I'm just mom to him.
But they also don't understand what famous is. It's like people know you outside of the 4 walls I know you as.
Yeah. And so, but he told everybody that at school, because his teacher told me that he said to everybody that his mom is an engineer and she is the smartest person he knows because I can fix his toys.
That is a big deal as a child. It's not just batteries, you can actually fix a toy.
Although sometimes I just look at this poor mangled piece of wrecked toy and I'm just like, there's no coming back from this.
My child has had his time with you.
Yeah, and so it's interesting to see the ways in which he knows that mom works. Mom's an engineer, mom travels. Mom travels for work. Sometimes he gets to come with me.
Nice.
So he's super excited about that. And other times he has to stay at home and then he's super sad about that. But it's been an interesting piece because, we have worked in over 30 countries around the world. So everywhere from Cartagena in Colombia to Indonesia.
Is this as an engineer or as WomEng?
As my company, yeah. And we've been running these programs to help young girls become engineers in these different countries across the world.
And then, again, you must have stories from, I'll say, layers and layers of stories. Yeah. Of those, what were the standout moments that you got to put something in place and then see it come to light as well?
I mean, so I always love the stories where somebody will be like, oh, Nadia, I met you. Yeah, now I'm this like big shot engineer somewhere. Those are always like for me the favorite stories. The other day we run programs that support women engineers. We also support women entrepreneurs. And I had a woman on our incubator program who actually used to be a fellow, so on our engineering development program. And she started a health tech company. Because she realized that if you want to go, because all women, if you're on birth control, you need every 6 months a script. This is a hill I will die on at one day. I don't know why, but every 6 months, got to go to the doctor, got to get a script. Now, for me, it's fine because I can afford to phone my doctor. She'll still charge me for the script, but I don't have to go to a clinic. Whereas if you're working at McDonald's or you're a domestic worker or you're working wherever, it takes 7 hours of your day, and that's 7 hours of salary you're not going to get just to get a script.
It's also a whole day of just waiting, and not because you can't do anything other than wait for those things.
So she started a digital healthcare, the first female digital healthcare clinic, and she came to us, and she's like, "I have this idea. Here's my company. Here's my metrics of success." And she asked us for investment. And we've got a venture capital fund, a $30 million fund that invests in women in tech businesses across Africa. And we did an investment into our company called Zoe Health. And that was such an incredible moment for us. And then I was in Dubai last year for a Women in Tech Awards and got to sit. And she was telling me, Nadia, we're now expanding to Botswana and Kenya. And we've now partnered with Nando's, all these big brands to be able to bring the service to women in these businesses. And for me, that like gives me goosebumps every time to know.
Even me, like I'm sitting and trying to be cool about it, but it's amazing. Also because it's not only your baby, it's your baby's babies that's living their life as well.
Yeah.
So, and then, that's such a, again in our country where I'll say smartphones are becoming like a regular thing where people like have reception. So you can use that small bit of access to help people's lives across the board. And that's the civil part of the civil engineering coming through.
And you think, like, I mean, it would be the people that everybody would be like, oh, Nadia was the coolest person that you meet. And that I'm just like, celebrities don't, like, they don't fascinate me.
They don't change the world as much.
They don't, right? I mean, but like people like this, because I've met the celebrities, I've seen them, like, I'm like, you, whatever, you acted really nicely. Leo, why did you not just get onto the boat?
There was space on the door.
There was space on the door for you, exactly. Right? So, we were at the World Economic Forum a couple of years ago, and Leonardo DiCaprio was there because he has an oceans cleanup, a nonprofit. It's big on oceans. And so he was there, and everybody was like trying to find Leo, and I was like hanging out with some of the coolest global shapers. The one guy who is electrifying India he does these tricks to like remote villages to bring them electricity. And a Palestinian friend of mine from Gaza, Asma, who just has done so much on girls' education in Gaza, and she's an absolutely amazing person. And I always told her that Asma, when I have a girl, her name will be Asma. Right? No questions asked. And I've only had 2 boys, so like then to be done. So
Asin, I feel like we can find a variation for the next one. Squeeze in a middle name.
Yeah, Saladin Asma.
So it's a great project. Is there any other ones that, like, I'll say that or that you've started with that has the potential to change? What's the other ones that you've done?
So things that I've done and currently I'm busy with. So there are a couple of things. So we've built these innovation spaces. We've got one in Cape Town, Johannesburg, and East London, and we're probably going to build the next one outside of South Africa. And it's everybody is like in the co-working vibe now.
Yeah.
And I'm not really in the co-working space business. I'm in the community get-together business. Because I think that we really do need a space to work, to collaborate. We just don't have these spaces. And actually, the reason why I built and we built it through WomHub is I was working from home, like all of us do. But, I'm a mom with a kid and who had a rabbit. Emphasis on had. Hoppy's living his best life somewhere, right? And this rabbit and my son were on the dining room table, but because I'm professional and I speak a lot, and so I've got to have like a really professional background. So background, all business.
Front of house.
Back of house, a mess, right? Kid and rabbit on the dining room table, rabbit eating my iPhone charger, killed the Wi-Fi also, but I'm like on a call and I've got to be like focused. And I just turned the laptop around and I was like, this is what I'm dealing with. And I just need 2 hours so that I can actually just get through a call. And that's why we built our second hub. The first hub we built during COVID in Johannesburg, and it's an amazing space. In Cape Town, we decided we're going to go bigger because it's Cape Town. And so we have a great space, but it's female focused. So we have what we call the Junior Engineer Hub, which is a co-play space for kids. So you can come here, get a few hours of work done while your child is learning about STEM stuff. So STEM, science, tech, engineering, and we call it mining and manufacturing. So not the mathematics piece, because maths is in all of the others.
And at what ages are those things?
I mean, my baby's in there now and he's 18 months old, and there's a sensory board for him, and then there's a 3D doodling pen, and then there's also a PlayStation 5 with VR glasses.
So any age of child is going to be fine.
Up to like 40s, because I've seen some man children busy.
It's me. It's me.
And so we've also got the lactation and menopause lounge because, not every woman's going to have a child, but every woman, unfortunately, will go through menopause. And so we need that kind of
necessary spaces.
We've got our fitness area where you can do yoga, Pilates, just stretch it.
Is there a punching bag? I feel like that's what a workspace needs.
It doesn't. And thank you for that. And oversight, I think that's a really good
I hope this email finds you well. No, I'm going to go punch something just to get out of this one.
I feel like there'll be a hole in the so it's about thinking about how we can support women holistically, but also we've got this is a proper tech hub. So we've got a fintech lab for anybody building anything on the fintech side, a full stack observability. So basically all the really cool tech, VR glasses, Oculus, whatever the plural is. And that's because the technology is really expensive and the average person cannot afford it. But actually the world is moving in the direction of tech. And so I don't want to leave people behind I don't want to leave women specifically behind, people of color behind. So we created this space to be able to level the playing field.
That's amazing, because even, like you said, even just to get your foot in the door isn't expensive, and then you need investors, and then also once you're under the investors, you can't always do all that you want to do, because you must play with it, like I'll say, in their world.
Yeah.
So this does open it up for everybody.
Yeah.
And then again, I feel like there's so much happening. Like every time we go somewhere, then I go, oh, there's other questions I must go through, because again, there's the restaurants also.
Yeah.
That has been an amazing and also success throughout Cape Town. It's become like a staple of when we list of, for myself, like in my world where I go, nice places to eat in Cape Town, your name comes up a few times, or your restaurants. When did it start and how did it start?
So I met my husband in Turkey, and my business partner, she's always involved in the critical life decisions, so it's all her fault. My dad every time still gives her the side eye. But I met Basil when we went we were in Turkey. We just kind of hit it off, and at a restaurant called Saray in Turkey, and then we decided he was just like, you're the one. And I was just like, well, dude, I like you, but like,
too much commitment now as a restaurant.
But he's an incredible person, and we decided we're going to get married. And at the time, we were like, where are we going to live? And I could live anywhere. And he'd been in the restaurant industry for like 14 years in Turkey. And I said to him, at the time the Syrian war had just broken out, there'd been a couple of bomb blasts in Istanbul, and I was like, no, in South Africa we'll kill you one at a time. There's no bomb blasts here, like it's safer. Let's move here. We were like, what is he going to do here, right? And everybody's like, oh, what's Faisal going to do? We started a jewelry business. We were bringing in like all that Harem Sultan and Swarovski silver Turkish jewelry, and it didn't really work. But he'd always said his dream was he wanted to open a restaurant. And I said, the problem is in South Africa and in Cape Town, there isn't a really nice halal place to go to, right? And we started the first Sarai as a nice halal place to go to for us to hang out.
And it was that also for it's the fancy place.
Yeah.
Where you go, it's not just, we go there like once a month, because it's the special place where we dress up nicely. It's not just jeans and tackies. You must put in your shoes.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, that's the first that I was just connecting people. And then we opened Istanbul.
Yeah.
And Istanbul was a special restaurant for me because I physically brought all the lighting back, like 60 kilos of lights in my luggage. I carried it all by myself.
That's a mission of its own.
I'm stronger than what I look like. And so, created another brand in the market, because it was a little bit like Sarai was like for family and stuff that, Istanbul was for date night.
Yes.
And then Sultan Shisha was really all Faisal, because he absolutely loves Shisha. And like, it's like the hookah is just like he's the happiest. When he's smoking his pipe and drinking his coffee and tea. And so we opened Sultan Shisha, and we opened it 2 restaurants in COVID, so we could close and open. I mean, COVID was really hard for the restaurant industry, but I think we made the right kinds of investments at the right time. And then we just happened to close the one because it was kind of not just COVID, but a terrible landlord, lots of issues. And then we opened at the waterfront. It was a really big opportunity for us. We were the first halal restaurant coming in, not like the fast food.
Yeah.
And to be honest, when we were speaking to the guys at the waterfront, they were like, we're not convinced that the model's going to work here. You're not going to make your turnovers. And, these guys are hectic to get a space there.
A lot of T's and C's there.
Oh, she signed your life away in blood. And he's just been an absolutely incredible operator. So I can take none of the credit there. It's all his vision. But you know what they always say, that the man is the head, but the woman is the neck.
That's what I was listening, because you say your words, but I know who moves the neck.
Yeah, and I said to him, when we had kids, I said, there's no nice place for us to go to with kids. And the site had a play area right next door. It had all the perfect things that we needed.
Yeah.
And so, I love going to eat there. I'm hardly ever at the restaurant. The other day, I told my sister, she can actually make a reservation. I phone and I'm like, I need table 5, like
Under
everybody
what
else.
name?
So the staff generally don't know who I am, which is, which is great. And so my sister-in-law, I said, I know I just cancelled. You can take my table. Just phone. We'll just go there and say, you're going to take Nadia's table. She cancelled. And she was like, oh, Nadia sent me. And they were like, we don't know who Nadia is. And she's like, how do you not know who Nadia is? And I was like, no, I'm nobody's boss. I'm just the janitor. But it's been incredible to be in that industry. It's a really hard industry to be in. Your people can be rude.
Ruthless and rude. Cool.
Yeah. And as restaurateurs, we take everything very, very seriously. So when you flippantly put on your 1-star on Google because your food came slightly, slightly late, or the waitress didn't smile enough, or the manager asked you how you were too much.
What a complaint to have also. But what it sounds like is that you've made spaces, or all the spaces that you go to, is that you've made it okay to be a woman in those spaces, and okay to be a mother, and okay to be a someone who lives a normal life despite having outside the titles that you carry as well. Making the spaces for the menopausal spaces, the breastfeeding spaces, taking your children to their work events. People must learn that people are people, that we're normal in things.
Yeah, no, we are. And I think if we want to see women succeed, we need to be able to accept that we have lots of different roles and responsibilities until society shifts so much that we all equally take care of our children. So men and women alike. And I always talk about women empowerment, right? And I actually hate the word empowerment because I'm like, what does that mean? Tell me exactly what does that mean? I don't, because everybody has a different understanding. And I always say we spend so much time empowering our girls that we've left our boys behind. And so, as a boy mom, because I see all these memes about boy moms, right? And how they rough and tumble and that. And I'm just like, I see my nieces that are just as rough and tumble as my son. So, all of those, the gender boxes that we put everybody in. But I see a generation that we must normalize it. I always tell my husband, nothing in my DNA predisposes me to changing nappies, right? Everybody can change nappies. In fact, 2 nights ago, my husband cooked dinner and asked my son who makes better food. And he was like, your dad. And I was okay with that because he does.
It's also a great title for you to give off to go, Everett, it's fine now. We're going to come to you for the food.
Yeah, and he does because Sarai, all the menu is him.
This is so true. So you're getting restaurant food at home?
Yeah, sometimes if I twist his arm just right.
Oh, you love nice. So, yes, and the thing of changing boys, or the role of boys in the world, is also as important as we change women's roles as well. Change their roles? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what projects are you busy with now as WomHub? Because we walked in here and everything looks so fancy and it's nice, and I go, what? Yeah, who are the people that are involved in this?
Okay, so we've got a team of 26 staff members. They make me look good. I'm going to put that out there. So we do 4 things here at WomHub. The first thing is we've been supporting and educating women and girls around engineering and tech careers for almost 2 decades, and we'll still continue to do that. It's very important for us. We want to leave nobody behind in a tech-enabled future. So it's around what are the future skills? How do we use artificial intelligence, and how do we use cybersecurity to keep people safe online? So that's the one thing we do, is around training and education. The second thing is we run incubators, so we support entrepreneurs. We don't take anything from the businesses, so no equity. We basically are supporting them for 8 months. And some of our programs, we even give you concessional grant funding. We're about to launch a program, which just launched now, where we're signing $10,000 checks to 5 entrepreneurs that are on program.
Slama.
Thank you. And we want to move money because money changes the world.
Can you tell us about the entrepreneurs?
Yeah. So we've got such I always say we've got such an incredible range of entrepreneurs. So we have some entrepreneurs, and they came to come and see me because they started a skincare company for anti-aging creams. And I learned that every other company, they've only got 3 active ingredients. They've got 9.
Okay.
Right? So it's better.
I'm here to learn. This is what I'm here for.
I mean, this is what I learn too on a daily basis from our entrepreneurs. And so they were looking at sustainable packaging for the environment, and they've been on one of our programs to be able to help support and grow their business. And, they were flown to Joburg. We're into our hub there for training. They get access to our spaces and our mentors. We've got another company that they started as a legal tech company, so lawyers online. They scaled to Kenya. And then while she was bored and realized that actually she hadn't been on a date for a really long time, she started a professional dating app with the money that we gave her, the $10,000. So she didn't have to raise money. So now she's built this app like a Tinder for professionals, but she still has only been on one date because she's so busy now, right? So
she's building the base for other people to have dates.
Spreading the love.
She's the Naadiya Moosajee of dating.
Of dating. And then we've got, a marine engineering company that is started by and grown by 3 sisters here. I always tell them that their motto should be, if it floats, we'll fix it. So all those big ships in the harbor, they're busy fixing it.
Wow.
And then we've got a company that's doing local baby food manufacturing with our own, to take on purity, it's our own homegrown tastes and flavors.
Oh, that's amazing.
So a real wide group of entrepreneurs that are solving real problems. And so the incubators help to grow their businesses, and then they get access to our innovation spaces. So, come and work out of here, come and connect with other like-minded individuals. And if you're on a program, we fund it. If you're not, you can still pay and still come and play with us. And then the last thing, we've been really passionate about is none of this matters if we can't move money into the hands of entrepreneurs, specifically women entrepreneurs. We're solving real problems in society. And so we started a venture capital fund. We actually wanted to start a bank, but it's really hard to start a bank.
So the bank is just not yet.
Not yet, but as my business partner,
planning for that.
Every time I say okay, I've started, we're on an incubator now to ourselves to actually get the FSP license, the financial service provider license.
Yeah, it's a big, I'll say, title to have to deal out money responsibly is a big thing.
Yes. And I was just signing checks, my son's university fees, just signing it away to entrepreneurs, but we started the fund to be able to say that we don't have, usually when you get your first pool of money, they call it the friends, family, and fool round. So all the friends and the family sign their checks to you to help grow your business. We don't have that. Yeah. And so how do we help entrepreneurs get their first check, their second check, and grow their businesses? And then obviously have a return, right? So that's the fund that we're currently raising. And we've already deployed about $2 million in 16 deals across Africa. So we've got a whole team for this. So this isn't me. This is a whole team.
It's the Avengers.
The Avengers, exactly. So actually we kind of laugh because my business partner, Hema, she's a big Captain American fan. So I'm her Iron Man. She's my Cap. And that's because I'm the tinkerer. And so while we've got the VC fund, we've got the spaces, I've been obsessed with cybersecurity.
Also, very Iron Man-ish. Your scarf is also Iron Man color.
No, I was on brand. It's also WomHub colors. So I read this article in 2018. So, it's a very formative memory. It was called My Life Online as an 11-year-old Girl. So if you don't want to sleep, go Google it. And it was an anti-bullying company in the US. They took a picture of a person who was 30, aged it down using aging software, and they put it on Instagram. And you can imagine, as an 11-year-old girl. And within a night, there were 300 phone calls to this girl on Instagram. There was the worst that humanity has to offer of men trying to hit this profile up. And I just was like, I need to protect women. I need to keep people safe online. Whenever you sign up to a platform and they're like, do you accept the terms and conditions? We're like, yeah,
fill the blocks, carry on.
Yeah, let's put up our entire lives online. Let's put up our pictures of our kids. Let's show, okay, yes, I always just show what I was eating, so that's okay. But like the rest of it was how much of our lives we share online and what platforms use with our data. And so, that security piece we just don't have. And what is happening now in the tech industry, and we'll get super serious and super sad, because and talk a little bit about Palestine and in Gaza, some of the technology that is being trialed there. There's an app called Where's Daddy, where it basically tracks people's cell phones. So firstly, it gets all your metadata from Meta onto which WhatsApp groups you're in. So now just think about all the WhatsApp groups you're in.
Yeah.
And if you were in a WhatsApp group with a supposed terrorist, they label you a terrorist. It tracks your phone. It waits until you at your home, and then it bombs, right? And so it's all being done using artificial intelligence. And so we accept all the terms and conditions without thinking about the security. And so started a cybersecurity company called Cyberfence, which teaches people how to be safe online. And so we're doing lots of training on and then also how to become cybersecurity analysts to get into the cybersecurity industry. So yeah, I mean,
that's a very big and necessary, I'll say, learning, because also aunties are very, forwarded many times.
Oh, yeah.
Just no, the link is a scam. We need to I'm not saying all older women, but all of our aunties are sharing those things.
Mom, I'm like, this is fake news, Mom. This is not real.
But it's a very good platform to start to teach people about cybersecurity, but also give them careers in it at the same time.
Yeah.
Then your entrepreneur, I'll say that becoming an entrepreneur is such a weird thing, because you starting a business from the thing you love to do, but no one teaches you the business aspect of it. No one teaches you how to dance for corporate. And I say, the dance where you go, hi guys, I have this thing, give me some money for this thing. So those are also important, I'll say, business lessons that we don't always learn at business schools. We learn them the hard way of not getting business. So do you guys deal with, I'll say, that part as well?
Yeah. So complete business skills, also helping think through like, what's your product? What's the market? How do you sell it? Where do you sell it? How much you're going to sell it for? I had, and again, I love parents, because parents, I get most of like people come and see me, and then they're like, can I introduce you to my daughter? So dad, I met a mom and dad entrepreneur duo at a conference. They're like, can I come and see you? And can I bring my daughter? And I was like, okay, cool. They're like, my daughter's just starting out as an entrepreneur, and she makes bespoke bags. And I was like, cool. I love a good handbag. And I said, bespoke bags, how much are you selling your bags? And she's like 150 Rand. And I was like,
it's not bespoke.
Is it though? And she's like, it's handmade. And I'm like, okay, so you're hand making a bag and you're selling it for 150. How many bags do you need to make to actually like put food on the table?
Yeah.
She's like, I live at home. And I was like, okay, but when you want to not live at home, what does that look like for you? And so kind of thinking about, and we kind of hashed it out to kind of talk about what a business needs to look like. If it's luxury, then you've got to pay, and where do you find the people who's going to pay? How do you get into those WhatsApp groups of all the people who've got disposable income for something that is luxury, And we don't have the institutional connections necessarily. Our generation now does, because we were like the first ones to go to universities. Yeah. Now we're sitting in leadership positions where we can unlock capital. But we need to be able to help to bring and I speak a lot about bringing people of color and women on board, because we don't have that. My dad didn't play golf. He still doesn't play golf. I wish he did. It would have been so much easier.
I learned that golf is where business happens.
Yeah.
Men just playing for hours in the sun, having a good whole laugh. And then that's where the big deals happen.
Yeah.
So we need WhatsApp groups of golf courses.
Yeah. And we as Muslim people need to kind of figure out how to do business with each other.
Yes.
No jealousy, no fighting over crumbs when you can go after the whole damn pie.
Yes.
Right?
And together go for the pie. And then also no Kanala job is no, like, oh no, can you just make it cheap? No, like I'm also a business as you are a business. Let's work as business at the same time.
I had this woman connect with me on Instagram, and she's just like, no, she's got this product, can they stock it at the restaurant? And I said, look, to be honest, I don't make those decisions. Right? So if you guys want to get stuff into the room, it's not me. But this is the process. And then I just started giving her some business advice, right? And she's like, Nadia, I want to send you some free stuff. And I was like, I actually don't want your free stuff. I'd like to pay for your stuff. So where would you stock it? And I will go and buy it. And I think that becomes, how do you get your first customers, your next customers? And I love brands like that. Like, I'll go and I will talk about how amazing. So like, I've got a Rolodex, there's like old school stuff, or I guess it would be, on my phone for cake shop, like cake things. The cake shop, I'm going to give a shameless punt here. Like, honestly, they're on WhatsApp. I've sent them pictures of cakes that I want, and they just send me the most beautiful cakes made. Right? And I pay for it, and I pay for full price, and I never negotiate, right? Because I'm not going to go into like words and be like, oh, sorry, this cake, it's like 159 Rand. Can you make it like 140 because like it's a little bit like, No, I just pay and pay it. So why must I go and like our small shops, our mom and pop shops, they have to start from somewhere, right? And so like, let's not negotiate them down. Let's pay full price there, and then wait for all these cakes to go on sale at 25% off, and you buy it.
Get it at waste.
It's my brother works at Woolworths, saying let's get it at waste. Sorted.
So just before we wrap up, let's speak to, I'll say the funders. Let's speak to those people. Let's get their money. Tell them where their money is going. What projects do you have lined up that needs the support of businesses and big companies?
So there's a couple of projects. So one, we are on a massive drive on cybersecurity training. So young people, it's a really great opportunity to get into the tech industry, and the barriers to entry is much lower. You don't need computer science. You don't need to code. Okay, you need to be able to to go through the training, understand what the threat is, and understand what is a scam or not a scam. And we'll teach you all of that, right? So basically looking at funding young people in terms of transitioning skills into kind of what we call future skills, but actually our current skills that we need now. On the entrepreneur side, if you are thinking about becoming an investor into a venture capital fund, come and talk to me around investing in entrepreneurs, because it is risky because you may lose your money if the company falls, but actually there's also a real big upside, right? And because our companies are solving real problems, there's lots of opportunities to be made. There's money to be made here. There's a reason why the Americans come down and the Europeans come down and they start businesses here and they bring their money here. And then when they sell it, they exit here, right? So why can't our own local people do so? So definitely on the VC side. And then if you're looking for a space, we've got spaces, Cape Town, Johannesburg, and East London. And potentially Botswana will come next, is our next country of operations, because we work a lot in South Africa, Botswana, and Namibia, in mining areas as part of a project called Building Forever. And so it's the impact of 10,000 women and girls in those locations. And so if you are interested in kind of supporting, we've already worked with 150,000 women and girls in over 30 countries. So yeah, that's
a big number to go through.
Yeah, and then if you want to kind of just contemplate life, eat great Turkish food at Sarai restaurant. That's my shameless kind of punt on.
Is that across all the boards, all the projects that must happen?
It's funny because I always take people to Sarai for, but I never tell them that I'm like, it's not like it's a subtle, subtle flex. But I always take people to Sarai because I was like, no, it's really great food, and I honestly like. Yes, I also love the owner, but but the food is really great. Yes. Like, it is my favorite restaurant.
Even me, I'll put my thumbs up on that one. It is great food, and it is a great setting as well. Great vibes. Shukran so much for your time. We know you're very busy. You're doing a lot, and you're busy with a lot. And then also, we wish you all the best for all the I'll say all the projects, because as you were saying, I can't remember all the stuff. There's too much. You have so much going on. I hope you find, I'll say, a break also, and time to be just whatever you need to do. But take your breaks as much as you need.
Thank you.
And again, we will be in contact, because I feel like there's more space for us to do more work with you. And shukran, all the best for the future. Shukran for joining us today. I'm Yasin Barnes. This is the Muslims Connected podcast. Assalamu alaikum.